So welcome, friends and tea aficionados. Now, we're going to do something quite special today. We're going to be tasting 3 teas that are upcoming, and they are spectacular. But before I declare them spectacular, I need to have your opinion. So now what we are doing is we're going to offer each of us a little tasting. Let's have a look. We have here this beautiful tea just north of Norelia, and it's from our Emerald Hills Tea Garden. Robert, you have plenty there? Great. So what I'm going to ask you to do is slurp. You know how to do it. So you see the lightness in the cup, and you see the aroma. Very oceanic, vegetal, but still bright, still a little bit of citrus in the finish. And very different to a typical Chinese green tea, because this is made by us using the broader leaf Assamica variant. What do you think, Peter?
Culinary wise?
Yes.
Juicy, fresh, vibrant. Lychee maybe? There's like an amazing a fruity aroma to it.
Unique for its elevation. It's a
Stunning.
beautiful tea.
And a great finish. Clean. Really, really clean, which is fantastic.
And how would you cheese with this, Betty?
Oh, I'd go for maybe even a gorgonzola style, because this is something really green, like in spinach. So I'm thinking of the bridge to spinach. What would I do? But it could also do with a very good burrata. I think it's very subtle, so it's a very exciting tea. I'm longing to get to my counter and pair it.
Would we rinse what you did?
Yeah, we might with this one.
Wonderful. And Edwin, what do you think?
Well, I love the polyphenols. It's light and yet it's still very present. And I think with tea, it's the polyphenols that also enable you to do pairings with food, especially when you have polyphenols and tannins there. It cuts through some of the oil or some of the creaminess in food, so it goes very well with not only with desserts, but lots of savory food.
And now the bad boy. Robert, what would you do with spirits and this beautiful tea?
Because it's such a special tea, the first thing that comes to mind is not mixing it, but pairing it. And I can think of quite a few very nice Blanco tequilas, and just sip one after the other. The fruity note as well, it has a floral touch to it, like most good tequilas have as well, and I think both will boost each other.
The texture, there's a nice texture to it, isn't it? That slight oiliness. It's nearly a sencha, but it's not quite. It's brighter because of the astringency of the Ceylon green teas. Is there something you feel?
It's got more body than a sencha. It makes a bigger impression. Like a sencha is like anyone's friend, and this is someone's best friend.
Okay, now when you all have finished drinking the tea, I'm going to take this and ferment it. And once you ferment it for about 2 months, mix it with sesame oil, pineapple juice, and different things like kimchi. I'll turn it into kimchi, and you can add it to your salads, and it becomes really good for your gut health. And because the camellia isn't really good for eating, when you ferment it, it breaks the leaves down, and then it becomes an amazing additive. So just think kimchi. 2,500 years ago, the Burmese were doing this with all their green tea. And we've started doing it now. So don't throw your tea away, people. I'll take it and make something with it.
As long as you don't smoke it, Peter, you can have it all.
You need to grow something different for that, Dilhan.
So that was the Emerald Hills Anniversary OP. It's a beautiful tea, and you know, we make this green tea using the orthodox method. So you have the typical eyebrow curl. You have quite a dark green. It is typical of a high-grown Ceylon green tea. So very unique and very different to the Chinese method. And now we are going to try our Celebration Peco, which comes from Craighead Estate. Craighead is a mid-elevation estate. And Robert. So here you have something completely different. You can almost smell, as you would say, Edwin, the polyphenols, or in wine speak, the tannins.
I love the color. It's just amazing.
So you can see here, it's quite bright, but it's a little dark because it's a malty tea. It's a mid-elevation tea, so it's been exposed to a fair amount of heat and sunlight, but it's in this typical shotty peco appearance, which, so completely different aromas.
Lovely, some woody accents there too.
Yeah.
And
A little bit of
hay.
seaweed accents.
Oh, yeah.
Much more fruity, more stewed maybe. It's
More body down there. There's more body compared to the other tea. And yet
some
it's still-
intensity, yet it's
Yes,
elegant.
and yet it's still quite smooth. Yeah, quite smooth.
Colour is amazing.
Yep.
I like, Betty, your mention of seaweed. Kelp-based food is another big thing that's coming in, and you could easily match that
Yeah.
with kelp, easily.
Yeah.
And it's got the colour, again, I'll say the colour again, but it is beautiful. It looks like a Scotch, actually, doesn't it? It's like,
It does.
Stunning. But yes, I think with this, kelp-based. So thinking around that, I haven't really got anything concrete I can give you now, but if I think kelp and then go into kelp-based foods and salads, that's where I'd go with this.
So this estate is around an hour from Kandy, and so it comes in as a mid-elevation, but reasonable brightness, some fruit, different types of different fruit than in the case of the green tea. Robert, what would you do with this?
Whiskey, definitely. A seaside whiskey where you have this touch of the ocean, that would connect beautifully with this with this
Talisker
tea.
or something like
Exactly.
I love Talisker, and whiskey is always a good idea, so.
Specifically Talisker, where you have these notes from the sea that come back in the spirit. They're going to form like a natural marriage with notes in the tea. A great old fashioned. Not,
Now you're talking my language.
That's what I was hoping for.
That is
this is really, that would be a perfect match.
Edwin, what do you think?
I like it. I like it because I think it's very versatile. You could go with seafood. You could also go with white meats. And if you could push it to work with red meats as well, with some heavier sauces. Although when you do that, the tea takes the secondary role, but that's fine too. Sometimes one has to take the lead. Yeah.
How would you cheese with it?
A cheap with it. A cheap with it, like a good manchego, not too old, or one of our sheep cheeses from the Isles, because I think it can go with sheep always has a high percentage of fat, and I think it'll break down the fats and just blend together. Looks fabulous to me.
Any advice, Peter, on how would you use this?
Oh, how to use it? Well, Edwin, you're talking about, pairing it. I was thinking it would make an amazing consomme. You've got those earthy, light sort of notes to it, and you wouldn't have to do much to that to have, even if you went something like a venison stock, and then you clarified the stock with the tea mixed into the egg whites, so that flavour sort of rolls through each of them, and it'll clarify and become the same colour, probably become a bit deeper, so colour-wise it'd be incredible. And you could have a bone broth that looks like that not only has the health incentives of the bones, which is now all the greys as well, but also have the benefits of tea. And again, the colour. I love it.
Fantastic. Thank you. So on our journey today, we have come from Nurelia because Emerald Hills is a little north of Nurelia, 6,000 feet above sea level. We've come across to Craighead Estate, and that's where we've got this beautiful peco. Now we're coming to another peco on an estate that is on the way to Gaul, quite close to Gaul, called Endana Estate, and this is our Sapphire peco. Sapphire because these three teas, and in particular this one, they celebrate my father's 70 years in tea, which also coincides with his 90th birthday. So these are all very special teas, and which is why I'm especially honored that you joined us at this tasting.
Can I have 2 spoons of this one?
You may indeed. That's
'Cause when you said Gaul, I was
Oh, I know you like Gaul. It goes well with your spirits. I'm going to give Edwin a double helping too. And Robert, would you mind just checking out the infusion there? So you see, it's a darker infusion because it's more sunshine, more humidity, sandy soils, very different terroir. So what do you think? lady and gentlemen. Very similar in terms of color, a little more intensity, but very similar to the Celebration Peco.
Given the elevation, I was expecting it to have really tough tannins, but actually it's so smooth. It's so smooth, and yet it still stays true to lower grown tea character.
Yeah, it has.
So it gets the best of both worlds.
Yeah. This is exactly what, because when you said Gall, one of my favorite teas is an orange peco, a Gall orange peco, and this is same style. So you full of character, but at the same time so much subtleness. You get these notes of ripe, sometimes overripe fruit. And there's so many things I can do with this tea because it has a lot of body, so there's a lot to work with. Whether it's from a light spirit to a dark spirit, first thing that comes to mind to me is rum. Because of the sweetness you find in rum, that would just perfectly complement this tea. Although, in all honesty, this is the tea that I would just rather drink like this, because this is...
I agree, 100%. I wouldn't mess with this tea. I would just drink it with anything.
Yeah.
It really is beautiful.
You know what we did? We had 5 months of rainfall, and we were trying to get something right for my father's 70th anniversary in tea. It wasn't happening because with rain, you can't make really good tea. You need a balance. And so in December, the rain stopped on Christmas Day. We gave the plants 2 weeks to be conditioned, and it went from rainfall to intense heat, almost drought conditions. So it was perfect, which is why we have this unique characteristic. We also went for this Peco style, and that's what gives it the softness and doesn't give you too many of the caramelly notes, but you have that soft elegance. But in terms of pairing, would it work well, do you think, Edwin, with a chocolate?
Yeah, we'll work with chocolate, we'll work with meats, we'll work with white meats as well. But I can't help but going back to what you said about the season, because it really reminds me of the wine industry, where they might have a lot of rain, and then the last few weeks they might have a lot of sunshine, and then everything ripens and then concentrates the flavors, and then actually you have something even better than what you would have expected.
For all three of these, they were all made in the second week of January.
It's meant to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what would you do with this, Betty?
I'd go for a rind-washed cheese, a bit of aromatic cheese to get the aromas more enhanced by the tea. A little bit of sweetness in the cheese, because to me it's got some dry walnut feeling in your mouth, and that goes very well with sweetness in a rich cheese. So yeah, this is something to put a fireplace on, have a chunk of the rind-washed cheese and a glass of this and be happy.
And what Peter said about the first tea, when you're done with this one, please give me the leaves, because I think I can make a beautiful infusion with this as well. I would go for, and that from gins, tequilas, all the way to even quite a robust whiskey, or even a bourbon. I would just slowly infuse them on a low temperature, check them daily, and I can get those notes to complement any spirit I can find. This is it's really would be a great finishing touch for a spirit infusion.
I would sit on a deck with my sarong on and the wind blowing up my sarong while looking out at Yala, sipping this tea and eating a spicy beef curry. To me, I think that would just be perfect. Beef curry with the spices and everything, and this tea. They wouldn't cancel each other out. I think they'd work well together.
Force, yeah.
Don't worry about the sarong, but you have to build the story. You know? It's really hard.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Thank you, Robert Schinkel. Thank you, Edwin. Thank you, Betty. And thank you, Peter.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Let's enjoy these teas.
Yeah.
Thank you.